Hello world! I'm gonna keep this video short because my mic, may it rest in peace, is not working the way that it should, so I apologize for the audio on this one. I figured people might still want an update about, I think a recap of Mod 2, the way I did a recap of Mod 1, and also I want to talk about the 2-week intermission that I've been on. I'll talk about school first though, because I think maybe to some people that's more interesting. Mod 2, as I mentioned in my last update video, is very different from Mod 1, was for me anyway. A lot more fun in that you get to like build things and see them on the screen and interact with them and play around with some front end stuff, get to style. I entered my project in Code Fair and that was a really cool experience. Mod 2 was very, very busy for me, and I feel like that was because I took on a lot of extra stuff. Mod 1, I didn't really have much time to do anything other than study as much as I possibly, like as much as my brain could handle. Go home, sleep, take care of whatever I need to take care of, and then get up and do it all over again. Mod 2 was some of that, for sure. Definitely when projects were due, there were some late nights and some dirty apartment days. But manageable. As long as I kept my time organized and asked enough questions, I feel like I had a little bit more time to recharge. I also feel like I was getting into enough of a groove that the work that I did at school was a lot more intense. I was using more cognitive resources in a shorter amount of time because I was a little bit more familiar with the problems I was wrestling with. This is gonna be really fast, but I just want to mention a couple things that went super awesome and a couple things that I want to do differently in Mod 3. One thing I did differently in Mod 2 that worked really well for me was like bullet journaling type of format. I had a big ass notebook like this big and I almost filled up the whole thing. So my teachers even gave me feedback, like it was really good to see you writing so much stuff down, because we wish we saw more of that in general. And they told me that I could probably be a little bit more open about asking questions and vocal in class and that kind of thing. Even though Mod 2 for me felt way less stressful as somebody with social anxiety, like I felt like I was acclimating very well. I know that I could have been more vocal in class and asked more questions. What did go well was all my pairing. I thoroughly enjoyed and learned a lot from the people I was pairing with, and I think we all kind of learned as a team, and there were 3 group and or paired projects. And I think that like the communication and the feedback loop and all those were really great, and I know that's one of the things I'm going to miss the most about Turing. I'm only like halfway done, but I already am anticipating a day where I'm going to be more on my own, and maybe the people I'm collaborating with have a different working style than is common at Turing. So that's definitely something I'm not taking for granted. I did take on extra things, as I had mentioned, the Turing podcast and SAB, so the Student Advisory Board. I don't regret that at all. They're great experiences. I'm going to be doing the Student Advisory Board for one more mod. Probably hear people talking outside my apartment. I'm so sorry about the audio, y'all. Let's see. In Mod 3, though, I do think I'm going to be asking more questions. I think that my mindset going into Mod 3 is going to be like, and I'm going off of the pre-work here because I've been doing the intermission work and I did not finish it, even though like it says in the pre-work you're not supposed to complete all this, it's for you to practice. I still feel like my understanding is not where I want it to be on a lot of the specific topics in the intermission work, such as complex SQL queries and a more advanced active record and that sort of thing. My styling. So my mindset going into Mod 3, I think is going to be just, I'm almost going to assume, like I'm going to go into it acting like I'm going to repeat. And I think one thing that I kind of like, I tricked my brain a little bit. I did some of this in Mod 1 and I knew repeating was a possibility. Mod 2, I didn't feel, there were a couple of points where everybody felt kind of low, but we for the most part pulled together and didn't have too many conversations about repeating the module. Mod 1, I felt like I was pretty close to repeating, but ended up catching up. Mod 3, I think from the very beginning I need to look at it as, I might get this in one try and I might not. So I might as well get my hands dirty and get messy and really wrestle with the problems instead of trying to like go and prepare and read everything I can and then be like, all right, now I have to do this the right way so my project gets a good grade. Well, I mean, that would be great. I think I will get more out of Mod 3 though if I just like go in and my goal is to ask as many ridiculously simple or obvious questions as I possibly can, or questions that like maybe in Mod 2 I would think if I repeat, a part of me I think will be relieved because I will get more experience and I will have more resources available to me for longer. And also, like, I didn't repeat Mod 1, I didn't repeat Mod 2, so I kind of have more flexibility than I might have if I had had to repeat one of those modules. And there is no way I'm going out and starting job interviews without feeling like I can build a search tree or reverse a linked list or, I don't know, do an active record query that I should know how to do and that kind of thing. So I am going into Mod 3 thinking about repeating, and I know it's early, class hasn't even started yet. But I think that maybe that would be a good way for me to really throw myself into the work and not put the pressure on myself to pass, but put the pressure on myself to learn as much as I can. And one thing that helped me in Mod 1 was thinking, okay, if I have to do this again, how can I make it easier on myself by front loading some of that work and that learning? So that ended up actually really helping me in Mod 1, and that's the strategy I'm taking into Mod 3. And I am going to be, I know I'm going to be nervous, but I'm not going to let that hold me back as much as I have as far as like asking questions or taking initiative or coming up with ideas. I still need to figure out what my main project is going to be. So now I kind of want to talk about the 2-week intermission. I want to talk about mental health, especially on the intermission week. So this intermission week was 2 weeks, and I don't know if it was the fact that it was 2 weeks or with everything else going on in my life, or the fact that like I get seasonal depression when it's hot outside, my AC is like meh. All those things combined made this a very challenging intermission for me, and I'm really grateful for the support of my mentors and my classmates that I did spend time with, and my family and my friends everywhere. That being said, like, I don't know, the last day of class was the day I received the news about Anthony Bourdain. And that was hard for me. I never even followed him. I didn't know that much about him until these articles started surfacing talking about his life and the amount of respect that he had for all the places that he visited and spoke about and wrote about. And it hurt me so bad, and it scares me to think that you can do so many amazing things with your life and you can go places and meet people and touch people deeply, and then still in your 60s be battling with this awful mental illness and these thoughts that close in on you. And that's like really deep down, that's one of my deepest fears, is that I'll never get over my mental health issues, that I'll never get over the self-deprecation or the hopelessness. It's not easy when I'm in code school to take care of my mental health, and I think it surprised me how much harder it was when I was on intermission. I needed to rest. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got to connect with some of my friends that don't go to Turing. And at the same time, there were moments that I felt very, very isolated. I don't know, I want to offer encouragement to anybody who's learning something difficult in the midst of mental illness, whether that's a new language, or you're learning how to code, or you're in another boot camp, or you're at Turing. It's not easy. And pat yourself on the back, rest even if you don't feel like it, and have fun even if you don't feel like it. And those are the things that I'm going to try to hold myself accountable to, because I believe they're important, and I'm really looking forward to having something to do with my brain. I'm looking forward to Mod 3, even if I'm terrible at it and I suck and I have to repeat. It'll feel good to be back on campus, and it'll feel good to be around some like-minded people, and it'll feel good to not be in my hot ass apartment. God, I cannot wait for winter. Oh, that was a lot. Until next time, friends, I will try to have my audio fixed. Thank you for watching, and keep checking in for Mythical Creatures Monday, because that's not going away until I'm done with Mythical Creatures. Catch you next time.